The Khorezm fortresses, it's a tour most people skip, and it's a huge mistake. What awaits you here is absolutely stunning. The ancient castles and the nature around them are so unexpectedly wild and beautiful that leaving any of these ruins feels genuinely impossible. Just standing here in the silence, realizing the sheer age of this monument is completely mind-blowing. We're kicking off our Khorezm Fortress adventure with Duman Kala. It's the perfect first stop if you're traveling from Khiva. Now, time has taken its toll on this one, but it's still definitely worth the visit. Trust me, the unforgettable walk through these rocked sand dunes alone makes the trip. Next up is Guldursun Kala, a massive fortified town and one of the largest fortresses in all of Khorezm. Even though only the walls remain, you still get a powerful sense of how huge this place was. It's actually relatively new compared to some of the others. It was first built between the 7th and 8th centuries AD on top of an older fort. It really hit its peak between the 12th and 13th centuries, expanding to become the largest fortress in the region. A stunning example of medieval town planning. In some spots, the adobe brick walls are still preserved to an incredible height of 15 meters, which gives you a real idea of how just imposing this giant must have been. Archaeologists here have found tons of ancient and medieval pottery, bronze items and coins. The coins tell us a lot, indicating that the final period of occupation was around the year 1220 during the devastating Mongol invasion. Now for the legend. The story goes that the fortress was only taken because Princess Guldursun opened the gates herself to let in her lover, a Kalmyk warrior. He and his troops then stormed in, killing everyone and destroying the castle. Our next stop is Angka Kala. This small but important fort dates back to the late antique period, roughly the 1st to the 3rd centuries AD. Angka Kala was deliberately placed in the eastern edge of Khorezm. Its mission? To guard the main caravan trade route heading east. It's one of the smaller castles, but it was a crucial piece of the defense system. Dating back to the 4th century BC, Janbas Kala is easily one of the oldest fortresses. It's surprisingly large, and the walls, which reach up to 20 meters high places, are still decently intact, especially considering this fort is over 2,000 years old. Janbas Kala has a rather unique design, but it made it vulnerable. It's the only Khorezm fortress built without defensive towers. The military architects tried to fix this flaw by adding steeply inclined loopholes so archers could still fire straight down the walls. Archaeologists found a lot of arrowheads here, suggesting a large, brutal battle took place around the 1st century. After that, it seems the fortress was simply abandoned. Khorezm is one of the most ancient historical and cultural regions in all of Central Asia. During the Arab conquest, written sources actually nicknamed Khorezm the country of tens of thousands of fortresses. This territory is literally peppered with these old forts, all built centuries ago to defend against nomadic raids. Most of them successfully served their purpose until the 13th century. That's when Genghis Khan invaded. The population was mostly killed or enslaved. The towns were destroyed. The economy collapsed. And the great fortresses were left to stand. It wasn't until the Soviet era that archaeologists finally started to uncover them. Two things about these ruins are absolutely amazing. First, the fortresses were built simply from the earth, using sun-dried clay bricks. That's why they look like giant sandcastles on a beach. But just imagine, the oldest of these is nearly 2,500 years old. Wars, winds, rain, animals, and even archaeologists, they've survived all of that, and they're still standing. Finally, Khorezm doesn't just attract us with ruins. It can rightly be considered the homeland of Zoroastrianism. While there is some debate, most scholars believe the Avesta, the holy book of the Zoroastrians, was originally written right here on the territory of modern Khorezm. Between Toprak and Janbas Kala, you'll find the beautiful Akchakul Lake. Right next to it are traditional Yurt camps, complete with a restaurant. Now, a quick confession. We ended up skipping Janbas Kala, although it's often named one of the most visited fortresses. A sudden wave of laziness kept us from making the climb up the hill. But don't worry, if you book the full 7-fortress tour, it will definitely be on the itinerary. Speaking of the lake, the nature here is so diverse. Within just a half-hour drive, green meadows and lakes can quickly turn into stark sand dunes. In May, you'd see a sea of green and bright desert flowers. But sadly, you'll also see the thinning, salt-covered crust of dried lakes. The terrible influence of the Aral Sea disaster, that massive man-made ecological catastrophe. It's already being felt right here. If you come in summer, you can actually swim here and relax on the sand. Since it wasn't summer for us, we settled for a lovely walk and a fantastic lunch. We had freshly caught fish barbecued to perfection with vegetables. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that fish was melting in my mouth. It was truly delicious. Next is Toprak Kala, which literally translates to clay fortress. At its peak, this place was home to about 2,500 people. Toprak Kala was actually 3 things in one: a fortress, a city, and a royal residence. Archaeologists have confirmed a throne room, a fire temple, and even an armory inside the citadel. An ancient system of canals brought water here from a now dry branch of the Amudarya River. This palace remains one of the largest and best preserved monumental buildings from the Kushan era in all of Central Asia. Finally, we arrive at Kizil Kala, the Red Fortress. It was first built in the late antique period, abandoned, and then dramatically rebuilt in the 12th and 13th centuries, right before the Mongol invasions. No one is entirely sure of its purpose. Was it barracks for troops? Perhaps an early fortified manor house? The traces of watchtowers certainly suggest it was a military outpost. But it also contains something fascinating: a temple for Zoroastrian fire worshippers. Zoroastrianism is one of the world's oldest religions, and fire holds a massive symbolic role representing purity, light, and divine energy. Fire temples like the one likely here keep sacred fires burning continuously as a connection to the supreme deity Ahura Mazda. And of course, there are the legends. One local story claims the basement was absolutely full of gold, but no one could retrieve it because it was protected by a snake demon. Another legend suggests Kizil Kala is actually connected to Toprak Kala we've just visited by a secret underground passage.